Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list, what I decided to do was I took the newest edition of the paper money of the United States, and as you can see, I already got my spiral bound in it. And for those of you who don't know, you can go to any printing service and they will put in a spiral like this for about $5. That way your book can lay flat and you don't have to worry about anything. Anyway, I got the latest edition. This is 23, and I got this right after I put out my top 10 most expensive notes, and that list was 30 notes. But that list, well, like I said, is kind of outdated now that the new book is out. The old book was over 3 years old. Now, when I put that list together, I had to make some assumptions, and I knew that some notes were higher than what the book had said because the book was older. And with me now having the new book, I decided to use a little bit more precise calculation. And what I mean is, most of the time, they're going to have grades listed for 8, 12, then they're going to go up to 20, and then they're going to go from 20 to 40. So with these being the prices, what I did was, if I had a note graded 10, 10 falls exactly in between 8 and 12. So if the 8 price was $100 and the 12 price was $200, that makes it easy enough to figure out exactly halfway between 100 and 200 would be 10 or would be $150. But what happens when you have a different scenario? If we were going to go 400 on a 20 and 800 on a 40, for instance, if I have a 30, that would be $600, easy enough to figure because it's halfway between. It's right in between there. But they don't list that price, so you just have to kind of assume that that's the grading scale. But what if you have a 25? Or what if you have a 35? How do you grade those? How do you price those? Well, the first thing I did was figure out what that 30 was halfway in between, and then I looked at what, since 25 is halfway between 20 and 30, the 400 and the 600, that would put that at a $500 price. And same way here, 600 to 800, halfway between would be 700. So I figured out the exact percentages of all this stuff, and I was able to more accurately calculate values. Now, do I believe that the values are exactly this? No, but it gives me an easy reference point as far as comparing old notes and old prices to current prices. So, some of my prices end in really weird numbers because we're talking percentages. Anyway, what I did was I calculated the old value and the current value and wanted to find out which of my 10 notes has gained the most. So that's this week's list, the top 10 biggest price gainers because the new book came out. So here we go. Number 10. Number 10 is my $10 1901 legal tender, the Bison note. The Bison note, really cool note. You can see here on the back, that's the back there. Nice note. This one is easy enough to grade because it is a 20 and they always list what a 20 is. In the old book, this booked out at $1,400, or at least I should say that according to the video that I did, I had this one priced at $1,400. In the new book, this is now listed at $1,500, meaning that this one had gained $100 in value over the course of the change from the 2022 edition to the 2023 edition. So a $100 gain in 3 years. That is number 10, my Bison note. Number 9. Number 9 is my 1918 $2 Federal Reserve Bank note. This one is the Battleship. My Battleship note, let's see what I've got written here. This one graded a 20, so that was easy enough to figure out as well. According to my other video, this was $675, but now that the new book came out, the price had jumped all the way up to $825, making this one a gain of $150. That one is number 9. Number 8. First one with weird numbers. This is a $1 18 1896 silver certificate, graded 25, the educational note, the $1 educational note. This particular note, let's see what I've got it at. In the original video, the $1 educational note, I figured this to be worth roughly $700. The grade is what makes it tough to figure because it's a 25. So I had to go through interesting percentages to get there. And from that 700, the new book would now put it at roughly $893. $893, meaning it had a gain of $193. Now, like I said, the book, of course, is not going to say $893, but the book also does not list the price of a 25. So, like I showed you initially, I had to work out weird percentages to come up with that, but that's what it is. So we're at $893 for a gain of $193. That's number 8. Number 7. Number 7 is my $5 Chief Note, 1899 silver certificate. The Chief Note, this one is in nice condition. It does have the stain there. The rest of the note is beautiful. The Chief Note, this one, booked out at approximately $1,500 in my original video. Now that the new book came out, they bumped that up to about $1,750, which means this note increased $250 over the course of the 2 books. So the Chief Note is number 7 at a plus 250. Number 6, my Lazy Deuce. Lazy Deuce graded at an 8. It is a net. I'm not worried about the net portion right now. I was more worried about the 8 portion just so I could figure out the calculations. The Lazy Deuce, this one in the old book was $2,250. $2,250 in the old book. I don't have to tell you how hard these are to get a hold of. In the new book, we are talking $2,500 for a gain of $250. That one is number 6, the Lazy Deuce at plus 250. Number 5, you'll notice most of these are graded because it makes it so much easier to try to determine the price. Number 5, 1923 $5 silver certificate, the Porthole Note. Porthole Note featuring Abraham Lincoln. This particular note in the old book was $1,100. When the new book came out, it was $1,500 in a grade 20. So that is a plus 400 over the course of 3 years. So plus 400 to $1,500 on the Porthole grading 20. That one is number 5. Number 4. This was the hardest one to figure because it only lists a price. The lowest price it lists is in a grade 40. I do not think mine is a grade 40. I do know how much these have gone up in value. So you kind of got to wing it, and that makes it difficult when you're trying to be accurate on pricing. I assumed that this one would be approximately $2,700 in my old video, and based on the new prices, it's going to be a roughly $3,100 note. So that's also going to be a plus 400. That seems about right as far as all the different levels of grades go and for what the prices have been. But once again, a grade 40 is the lowest grade they list a price for, so I kind of had to struggle with this one, but that's what we're saying, plus 400 to $3,100. That one is number 4. Number 3, here is the $2 educational from 1896. The $2 educational, this one in a 25, I figured was about a $2,000 note from the old book. And when I do the calculations based on how I showed you and how much it went up, this one is now coming out at $2,450, making it an increase of $450 over the course of just one edition of the price guide. So that one is number 3, the $2 educational, up $450. Number 2. I love it when I get to bring this note out. This one is my favorite note. This particular one is the Technicolor, the 1905 Technicolor $20 gold certificate. The Technicolor note, this particular one, I mean, there's only about 500 of these around. So for me to have one, that's part of the reason why I'm just so tickled to have this. But it's in a grade 12, and they list the price of a grade 12, so that makes it very easy to determine the price. In the old book, this was listed at $2,250. Nope, sorry. In the old book, this was listed at $2,500. And in the new book, this now lists out at $3,000. That's a gain of 500 bucks. So yeah, just from one book to the next, that one's plus 500. That one is number 2. And finally, number 1. Number 1 is the $18.99 $1 legal tender. Did I say 1899? Try again. 1869 legal tender. This is the rainbow note. 1869 $1 rainbow note. This one grades 25. So, of course, there's all kinds of interesting math involved in this one. The rainbow, I'm looking on my list where I've got it because I just had to add everything to it. I figured this one to be right around the $950 mark in my last video. And according to the new video, when I do the math trying to calculate for that 25, this one comes out at $1,562. That means this one has gained $612 in value over the last 3 years. Now, part of the reason for that was there was a huge jump in the grade 20 price. And that caused a huge slide in the graph. But anyway, when I did the math the way that I was talking about, that still put this at $1,562, making it up $612 over the course of 3 years. So those were the top 10 gainers. When I did the math on those, I want to say it was roughly a $3,100 gain. You can double check me on that, but it's about a $3,000 gain just on those notes alone. So that's what I've come up with. Next week, not everything came up roses. I do have a couple notes that, well, didn't hold their own. So we'll explore those next week. But for now, those are the top 10 price gainers. All right, guys, if you learned anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading your comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.